wants to play some Rebels and Patriots? If you do, stick around, because we got a hot little number for you coming up right now. I am not entirely sure about this game, brother. There's a whole lot of if-thens and a whole lot of, I think it may be too close to Dragon Rampant, so it kind of trips me up on a lot of the subtle differences. I may be switching back over to Fistful of Lead, Bigger Battles. I think it's kind of it front loads the work on the army design, and then things go a lot smoother during the fight. But one thing I do love about this game is the scenarios. Today we're looking at scenario D, Bullets and Beans. And Dan Mersey and who else was it? Michael Leck. They give us a really interesting one. The attacking side has a 24-point company. That's going to be our Vendée Rebels. They have snuck up on the road camp of the Revolutionary Guard. And they are attacking it. They're going to steal their food, not necessarily because they need it, although they might because these are farmers and they're too busy trying to fight for their right to go to mass, to be out on the farm making food. And in the later stages of the Vendée counter-revolution, they would suffer from tremendous famine, simply because they were too busy fighting for their rights to actually do the farming. So yeah, maybe stealing some goods and food is a way to keep themselves fed. It's also a good way to chase these Parisian goofs back to their ghetto where they belong. So this is what we have here in the center. A little bit of a defend the fort situation here. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 objective markers. And we'll zoom in a little closer just to really nail this down. This central zone is divided into 4 quadrants, each of which contains a half-size unit of line infantry. Each of these are, I don't know, what would you call them? The camp guards, I guess you could say. They're small line infantry units, so they can't use the special line infantry rules like close order or first fire. Each of these squares counts as, the whole area counts as in cover, and then just to make it explicit, I put a stone wall around it. So we've got heavy cover if you're outside. Even once you get into this square, all of the melee and shooting counts as in cover if you're shooting across the square. Each square, each of the quadrants can only be defended by 1 unit at a time. Note that each of these half-size line infantry units costs 2 points. The revolutionaries start with just 8 points on the board. They do have 1 unit that is riding to their rescue, a unit of heavy cavalry. 7 points brings them up to a total of 15 points. That unit of cavalry, on every turn, starting with the first activation, they can roll. On a successful move action, they will appear on a table edge. Now, that's all the terrain that is specified. I've added a couple of hills. I've added some hedges and a little wheat stalks over there to kind of bust up any formations, to kind of make things more complicated, both for the revolutionaries and for the good guys over here. Let's talk about the good guys. We've got 24 points of guys. And I guess the story here is that they were able to take one of the cannons that they liberated from the, what would you call it, the militia depot, the National Guard depot. And under cover of darkness and this hill, they've managed to wheel that cannon into place. They were not as sneaky as they thought they were, which is why a messenger was able to get word to a nearby cavalry unit, hey, we're going to lose our bullets and beans. The Vendée loyalists, the whites, have a total of 24 points even. Oh, whoops. These guys are classed as natives. They are 5-point units. They're very fighty, but the only time they can shoot is when they are conducting a skirmish order, and even that only allows them to shoot at half strength. So we're looking at 26 points to the attacker instead of the agreed upon 24. 17 points for the defender instead of 18. So we're a little light on one side, a little heavy on the side of the whites. And that's part of why we've given the defenders hard cover instead of just light cover. We've also broken up the battlefield, given the attackers a little bit of cover over here, but we're dividing their forces in half. As you can see, they're going with a strong right punch, historically accurate for the Vendée farmers. And our leader is right here. He's the one Vendéan who is sitting on a horse. You can tell he's in charge because he's got the fancy wheels. The leader for the Republic, or is it are they Republicans? For the revolutionaries is going to be this guy waving his hat around. He's the one leader that's dressed in period-specific garb. The rest of these guys, like these foot dragoons here, yeah, totally Napoleonic. I'm using proxies, so sue me, right? You don't like it? Go on the internet and complain about it. I think we're just about ready to go. Anything else we need to cover? Oh, let's cover victory points. We should probably remind ourselves. At the end of the fight, we can kind of focus in a little bit here. If all 4 squares are sacked, the attacker gets 6 points. For every square that's not sacked, the defender gets a point. The defender gets a point if suffers less than a third casualties. So we'll call that, basically, if the horses go down, or let's see, it would be 2 of these units? 4 would be, no, 6. They have to lose 3 of these units. So kind of interesting the way the math works out. And then, it's basically 1, 2, 4, and 6 honor if the Vendéans can sack 1, 2, 3, and 4 corners. So that, I mean, look, we all know what's going to happen here, right? They're going to try to burn as many of these as possible. Takes a full activation to make off with loot 1 square of supply. So a unit that is standing in a corner, once they complete an activation of, quote, looting, we're going to pull one of the markers off. We've got some boxes, and then we got one little heavily laden donkey there. We'll start over here on the left. The attackers get the first activation. However, before we roll, he needs a 6 or better to shoot. I should point out the game will last between 8 and 14 turns. At the end of turn 8, we'll roll a d6. Add the turn number. If the result is 14 or higher, that was the last turn, the game is over. So you don't know whether this is the last turn or not until it's too late to do anything about it. That said, let's see if our cannon goes full blammo. With a 6, he does. Now the cannon is going to be hitting on 5s. Oh, wait, before we make that cannon roll, we need to figure out what our leader's abilities are. For the revolutionary, and I should also specify, the white die will be die number 1. We've got a couple of fun charts. And with a result of a 5 and a 5, the quartermaster's brother. During firing, the officer's unit may reroll 1 failed hit. These guys reroll 1 failed firing hit. For the Vendéans, the white die is number 1. Blessed, praise the Lord, +1 to officer casualty test. So it's going to be hard to knock that guy off of his high horse. Wow, that's relatable. And I was wrong. The cannon hits on a 4 or better. Now, that is unchanged based on a whole lot of factors. This last little die out of the screen is a miss. So we pull all the 4s or higher, and we did not hit our target. We've got 5 total successes. How many figures are removed? Well, normally it would be 2 for guys on foot. However, they are behind hard cover, so it would be 4 hits for that. And we are at long range. We're beyond 6 inches. That means 5 hits will remove a single figure. However, our cannon reduces the effect of the hard cover by 1, meaning that we're back down to 4, but either way it doesn't matter. They're going to lose 1 casualty. That will force a morale check. Well, first of all, it will cause a see if the guy dies check, and we roll snake eyes, which, that's a good point. Let me figure out whether we roll morale or casualty test first. We test for officer casualties first. So this sets off this cascading series of events. Our officer takes a cannonball right in the brisket. Now we have to find out how he died. We roll 2d6, and on a result of a 7, he is wounded and rescued by his loyal soldiers. That's useful for campaign games. And that's really the only reason we do that? Okay, no problem. So that doesn't have any effect on our game, except all 4 of our units have to test because the officer was a casualty. The unit that lost a figure is at -1. We don't have any upgrades. Their discipline is 0, meaning this first unit needs to pass a test of 5 or better. And they pass. Then we're going to go around the horn. We're going to do the guys in the upper left, upper right. So the guys in the upper left roll a 9. They're fine. The upper right roll a 4. They are not. And then the bottom right roll a 6. They are fine. All that means is these guys are going to start the game with a disordered marker. Everything they do is going to be at -1, and if they fire, I think that means they are at half strength. These guys are all at half strength to begin with because they're half the size of a normal unit. We're going to go left to right. Our Vendée units each get to move 4 inches. If they're successful, they need to roll a 6 or better, except these 3 center units all have an officer right next door, so they activate on a 5 or better. So we'll start on the left, as I said. They are going to move up 4 inches. These guys are going to move up 4 inches. These guys are going to move up, on a 5. They just made it. They're a little recalcitrant. And their leader, Monsieur Delbey, says, get a leg on. And so they will move. And then these guys also will activate on a 6 or better. They do not. They're comfortable hanging out behind the hill. Go get them, boys. We're with you in spirit. Now, bear in mind, as natives, These guys are fleet-footed, although it's actually called open order in this particular game, in keeping with the more black powder situation. After movement, our game board is going to look a little something like this. That kicks play on over to the revolutionary guys. The guards are stuck where they're stuck. We're going to try to make a morale check for this disordered unit. We want to get them back into the fight. With a result of a 5 on the rally check. That test is at a -1 because of the disorder marker. Add another disorder marker because of the failure. And retreat a half a move. So these guys, the good news is these guys... Okay, so the bad news is they're going to abandon ship. Oh my God, days are coming. Oh Lord, days are coming. And apparently they didn't get the message that reinforcements are on the way. They've given up the safety of the fort, and that's going to be it for them. These guys don't have a whole lot they can do. They have a total range of 9 inches. They are too far away to do any good. These guys can shoot, and they're going to combine fire on the leader, on the unit with the leader. And so let's roll for activation. Again, it'll be on a 6 and a 6. And so the guys on the left are going to fire, and the guys on the right are also going to fire. Now, as I said, we have to roll 2 separate attacks. And remember that now in this case, because it's close range, we just go with there's no first fire. These are small units. They're only going to get to roll 6 dice, but they will remove a figure for every 2 successes that they get. And because these are line units, they are going to be hitting on 5s. And with 1, 2, 3 hits against a unit in the open, that 1 hit is going to remove a figure, but I don't know which one, because there's an officer we roll. With 1 casualty, we will roll 2d6, subtract 1, and on a result of 1 or less, our officer goes bye-bye. And look at that, not a good day for the officers. This officer goes bye-bye as well. And that forces a morale test on this unit of, they need are these guys, do they have a discipline? They do not. So they need to succeed on a 5 or better. And they do succeed. Now we got to check for the cannon. And the cannon fails and decides to retreat. Oh, no, that's not right. The cannon receives its first disorder marker. They are essentially wavering. Now we've got to check for this unit here on the left with a 6. They're okay. The unit here in the woods is going to receive a result of an 8, and then the unit hiding behind the hill is going to receive a 4, and they are also disordered. So a whole lot of, not good stuff going on here for people. And not only that, but we have a second firing action, which will be successful on a 9. We'll allow it, and we roll for 6 dice. We're shooting at the same unit, by the way. Hitting on 5s, we're only going to remove 1 more farmer. And then these guys have to make a morale check at -1. And with a result of a 3, they are also going to be wavering. So we got a whole lot of morale checks. The situation gets even worse because we have to check and see if the cavalry have arrived. With a result of a 4, they have not. We'll check again on the next turn. We are doing some spectacular die rolls on both sides of the ledger today, aren't we? With the loss of the leader, our farmers are only going to be moving on 6s. I'm going to check for the movement of these 2 units in their pincher movement. The guys on the left are going to move, and the guys on the right are, with a result of a 5, not going to move. So all we've managed to do is bring these guys up to the wall. The way walls work in this game, you have to stop. And on your next turn, then you can leap over the wall or make an attack action and actually attack these guys. So they're still classed as being like an inch away, I guess you could say. At this point, we're missing a video file or 2 in which the Vendée cannon completely blows a rally check and routes off the field, having fired just the 1 shot. We also miss out on the Vendée farmers on the left successfully assaulting the southwest corner of the camp. They get in and completely party wipe the guards in that southwest corner. We will pick up the action right there. It becomes the revolutionaries' turn, and the revolutionaries here are going to try to fire at this unit. Now, this unit is classed as being in cover for the purposes of firing, so it will take 3 hits to eliminate them. The activation roll is successful. We are going to roll 6 dice. We're looking for 5s. And we get a grand total of 1, so that firing does no effect. This unit is going to continue plugging away at the 1 unit they're trying to drive off. We'll call that an 8 for a successful firing action. They've still got 6 figures. They are hitting on 5s, and they don't do any casualties. You leave your worst shots back at the camp. This is going to be really important. Can we bring, at long last here on turn number 4, the cavalry onto the table? No, we cannot. I don't know where they're at. Yeah, they're caught up in the muddy roads. That's about the only explanation you can offer. We're on to turn number 5, and we have some questions to resolve. Do we use these guys to immediately attack the revolutionaries? Remember, their fleet, they can move full speed, so that's not an issue. Or do we rally them? Or do we spend this activation looting the boxes? I don't know, because I don't know what happens over here. I want to see what happens over here first. And so what I'm going to do is throw this unit... Ooh, which one first? I'm going to throw the healthy unit over the wall first, looking for a 6 to make that attack. With a 5, they do not. So the unit that's already took some casualties, they're going to try to make an attack roll. With a 7, they succeed. So our Vendéans are now making their big attack, looking for 4s. Every 3 hits will remove a casualty. And it's no surprise. We don't get quite as successful an attack. We get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, which is only going to remove 1 figure. And we'll leave the leader there, I guess. So we remove the 1 figure, and they now have to make a... Oh, because it's 1 figure to none, this unit immediately retreats an 1.5 inches, and the unit that succeeded makes a follow-up move. Now, the unit that succeeded has already stopped at the wall. What that means is their follow-up move of 2 inches means they get to make a second attack at the guys on the other side of the wall. So it's going to be another 12 dice. And this all happens before the... Again, we get the +1 bonus for fighting in cover. So they remove a second figure. And it's still the same turn. So the Republicans are going to be at -2 on their morale check. But they do get their counterattack. And hitting on 6s, they get no hits. So no morale check for the... Wait, the Vendéans, did they lose any in that last one? I don't think they did. So they don't have to make a morale check. But the Republicans do, and they're at -2. 6 minus 2 is a 4. That is a failure. They are now disordered, and they're going to be defending at half dice on the next turn. Not only that, but they have to retreat another 1.5 inches into this quadrant. All right, so the Vendéans are having some success now. These guys have to try to... They don't have to try to recover, but we're going to do that. With a 9, they do. They're no longer disordered, but they can't shoot or anything like that. We're going to take a shot with the guys in the upper left, and on a boxcars. Boxcars means something special. Sometimes I forget about this. On your activation, if you roll Snake Eyes, it's a fumble. On boxcars, it's a critical success. We roll a d6 to find out what happens. True Grit. Your officer is dead. This makes no difference. All right, well, hey, it was worth a shot. They do still get to shoot. Rolling 6 dice, looking for 5s. They get a total of 3 successes, which will remove a figure. And we're at -2 now. 1 for the disordered, 1 for the guy they just lost. Looking to score a 4 or better. We get a 9, goes to 7. They're okay. Both of these units have gone. Now, at long last, our cavalry comes on the table. Finally, they do. And as I said, they are simply going to appear on the table. All 12 of them. Where do they appear? We're going to send them straight in through this gap right there. There are 12 of them. They are in loose order. That's the end of turn number 6. And once again, we have an awkward decision to make. We're going to start by using these guys attacking this unit here. With an 8, they will move into contact, and they will make their attack roll. And I'm just going to move a couple of guys for now to speed things along. 12 dice, hitting on 4s. And for every 3, we do a casualty. 1, 2 casualties, which knocks this unit down to half strength. But on this turn, so you know what I should... Well, hang on. They are still full strength. Combat is simultaneous. Looking for sixes. We didn't get a pair of sixes, so no casualties for the Vendéans. These boys are going to retreat a half a move, and the Vendéans close the gap and make a second attack. And if we can score 6 hits, there's 1, 2, 3. They will wipe out the enemy, and they are not required to follow up. We're going to stop them right there. That's this unit. The other unit of Vendéans is going to try to leap over the wall and get into this section. With an 8, they will, and we'll move them right up to here. And just like that, the foxes are in the hen house. We're done with the Vendée turn. No, we're not. We got to see if these guys can rally from being disordered. Do we want to rally or do we want to fight these guys? If we go fight them now, it's only going to be fighting at half strength. You know what we're going to do? We're actually going to spend an activation looting. Kabow! Because we're going to take the victory points. So that's our first quadrant looted. It becomes the Republicans' turn. The Republicans are going to take a shot over here. And shoot they shall. That gives them 6 dice. Looking for 5s. They get, I think they got 3. I'm going to give them credit for the 3. We're going to remove another figure here. And we're going to make a morale check at -2. With a 10, that becomes 8. This unit does not become broken. They're already disordered, remember. Hence, -1 for the disordered, -1 because they took 1 casualty. Then the cavalry, here they are. They need a 6 to move. And they're just going to watch the show. They're just going to wait. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's not be too hasty, boys. Let's see how this turns out. That is an utter disaster for the revolutionaries. Their horses are just doing them no good. They've had to fight this whole time at half strength. We've lost 6 points out of the 18. That's out of the 15. Come to think of it, when they lost this, that's a third of their points. I don't think that matters in this, though. It's when you reach half your victory points. All right. That being the case, here on turn number 7, we're going to try to attack this unit. Well, we're going to take the victory points. Bang, bang. We've now looted 3. We've spent our activation. Does it need to be a successful activation? I have to reset the clock here to turn number 6. It's not clear to me whether you need a successful activation or just an activation in order to loot each of these corners. I think you need to successfully activate to find the good stuff. I mean, anybody can find, this is French cooking, right? Anybody can find the croissants. We're looking for the good cheese, right? We're looking for the Chateaubriand. So turning back to turn 6, we need a 6 or better in order to get this victory point. With a 3, we did not on our last turn. Well, now it's this turn. Now it's turn 7, and we're going to try to do it again. And this time we will. So our boys are still disordered, but at least they scored a victory point. Then we're going to try these guys back here. And with a 6, they will succeed, and we will score another victory point. And we're going to try to get that third square sacked, and with an 8, we will. So we didn't accomplish a whole lot this turn, except we scored a whole bunch of victory points. I think we're up to like 4 now. And can the horses move? Let's take the shot first. Take the shot. With a 10, we will take the shot. We're looking for a trio of 5s or better. We get 1, 2, 3. One more guy goes down. We make a morale check at -2. We need to roll a 6 or better to pass. And we do. And then, okay, guys, come on, horses. Can you join the party here? Hey, look at that. They can, except, you know what? They're too far away. They can only close. No, that's not how this works. They succeeded by rolling a 9. You add 6 to that because they're on horseback. That's a 15. They will charge a total of 7.5 inches. Kablow! So they will be able to make contact finally. Man, I feel like this is not going to go well for the cavalry at all. Yeah, no, but that makes sense, right? Don't use shot cavalry to try to storm defenses. That's not their job. They're supposed to run down units that are trying to stand in their way. All right, well, they only get to roll 6 attacks. They're only hitting on 5s, and because our farmers are in rough going, they need 3 5s in order to do a damage. They don't get a single one. For their part, the farmers also need to roll 3 successes, but they're still at full strength. They get to roll all 12 dice. They're still hitting on 4s because they're aggressive. Now, 3 hits will cause a casualty. So there's 1, 2. That's it. But that's 2 casualties. Meaning the cavalry now have to make a morale check at a total of -3 because they're disordered. They're fine. But they are thrown back because, remember, they took more casualties. So they have to fall back 2.5 inches. And that was really, I feel like that was their only chance to really pull this off. Because that frees up our Vendéans here on turn number 8. And this may be the last turn. Maybe all those delays worked out in their favor. The favor of the revolutionaries. Because these guys, now, I should also point out, guys on foot, if you're riding boots, you don't get to follow up against guys on horseback. Not only that, the horses are further away, and our Vendéans probably wouldn't want to give up the defensive bonus anyway. So we're going to take this unit, and we're going to go over here and attack. And with a result of an 8, we will be successful. We'll roll our 12 dice to see if we win. And for every 3 hits, for every 3 4s or better, and we get a total of 1, 2 casualties on the camp guards, who can counterattack with 6 dice of their own. Again, looking for triple 6s. We only get 2 6s, so no casualties there. The revolutionaries are going to have to retreat a half a move. That puts them on the other side of the fence, and our Vendéans are going to be able to close up like so. Oh, they're all over the place. I really should have used larger bases on these guys. You got to have properly based figures, man. You want to surround yourself with figures that are based enough to support their weapons. There we go. All right, that looks really good. I like that. Now we're going to try to rally this unit. Rolling big, we finally get rid of our disorder marker. So, we got that going for us. And then what is this unit going to do? We can't get over here. We're gonna move them up here to kind of run interference. On an 8, they will succeed. And what that's going to do is it's going to buy us one more turn, or it's at least going to buy us some safety from the charging guys. Oh, I forgot this morale check over here is going to be at a total of -2. And with a result of a 4, the revolutionaries get a disorder marker. It's their turn. I guess we'll try to rally them. A 7, it becomes a 6. They'll lose the disorder marker. And then our cavalry are... Do we charge? They're only going to get to roll... Man, they're going to be disordered. If we charge, they're only going to be rolling 6 dice. Let's try to rally them. Maybe next turn we can get in there and take out another unit. So we rally them, and now we need to start checking. Was this the last turn of the game? On a 6, it is. It is not. The Vendéans get to go, and we're going to try to activate this friendly unit. Is going to try to take the 4th, and that is a 7, so they will destroy the 4th victory point. That does not end the game. We're going to charge... Remember, these guys are already in this quadrant. They're going to charge this damaged Republican unit. With an 11, they will succeed. In order to do that, though, and this Republican unit, what did they do? They rallied, but they had to, we could have followed up. I don't know why we didn't. Oh, that would have been the smart play, wouldn't it? But we didn't. So we're going to bring these guys into contact with them, and we're not going to give them the defensive bonus because the revolutionary guys... We probably could have followed up with these Vendéans when the revolutionaries retreated last turn. We did not want to do that because we wanted to get our loot counter. I've already moved the successfully attacking Vendéans into contact here, and we're down to 7 guys. That's still full strength. So let's roll our dice. We'll try to do it inside the camp, And that might have been a little cheap, but whatever. For every 2 successes, for every 2 4s or better, so that's 3 more on this unit, go bye-bye. And I'll show you why we're doing this here in just a second. But still at half strength, we're going to pull out, and we're going to roll. Yeah, it's getting a little sloppy here. There we go. There we go. Look at that. So because we're not in cover anymore, for every pair of 6s, we'll remove 1 Von Dayen. So both units, well, I have to make morale checks. The unit that lost more dudes, which is, wait a minute. The unit that lost more dudes retreats an 1.5 inches, and then the Von Dayens follow up. Now, in this round of combat, it's going to be 6 dice versus 6 dice, because both units have been reduced to less than half strength. So we'll roll for the attackers first, and we get 2 successes, which eliminates the last of the boys. The boys in blue have gone down, and then there's no need for a morale check, but that last lone survivor does get to try, and he gets a total of, at half strength, he gets a total of 2 more hits. So our Von Day farmers are also going to have to make a morale check. Well, obviously the guys that have been killed to the last man don't. But the Von Dayens do, and they're going to be at a total of, I think it's -4 altogether. So a 9 -4 is a 5. They are still above 4. They're okay. And I think that's it. These old boys are going to make a skirmish action. Now, we haven't seen much of this. On a 6 or better, they can make a half move. And with a 6, they get it. They shoot with 6 shots. And they're terrible at shooting. They have a firing of 5. We need to roll 3 to take out a casualty. We only get 2. And then we're going to move back a half a move, the 2 inches. And what that does is it really pulls the horse boys into the... I forgot the horse guys have to make a morale check too. They are now down to less... The revolutionary guys are down to less than half strength. With a result of a 4, they're going to become disordered. And now it's their turn, and they can charge, but they got to rally. They will rally and get rid of the disordered marker. That's the end of turn number 9. So on a 5 or a 6, the game is over. There you go. The game is over, and we have to tally up our victory points. After cleaning up the battlefield, the situation looks like this. We're going to look at our objectives here, and we'll see if we can get our white balance a little bit better. For the attacker, for the boys in white, the 6 honor, because they sacked all 4 camp squares. The defender, he doesn't get an honor for non-sacked quadrants. Let's see, did you take less than 33% casualties? Negative. Did you cause more than 33% casualties? Oh yeah, we managed to run off. And we didn't actually do anything in that case, did we? We shot the leader, and the cannon and the unit scuppered off, which, oddly enough, I think is kind of a historical result. The Von Day farmers, as long as their leaders were fighting strong, believed that God was on their side. When all of their leaders started taking casualties, and, they were brave guys. They fought from the front lines. When they started going down, the Von Days, it really suffered. Their morale really suffered. So a surprisingly historical result. I'll say this. The fact that the cavalry showed up so late in the game, I don't think it played that big a role. Because remember, both leaders dying right away really threw both sides into confusion. Half of the attacker's force, well, almost half, a little less than half, ran off right away. The cannon and that 1 unit of farmers, that's 11 out of their 26 points. They really didn't have much effect in the game whatsoever. The cannon just sniped at the Republican leader and ran off. So probably the Republicans suffered a little bit worse than that. And the other thing that really matters here is that you've got 8 versus 15. So even with that, the defenders were suffering from a 2-to-1 deficit there. And they were going up against guys that were big time into melee. So by not having enough firepower to reduce the farmers' numbers before they got into the camp, I think that really affected things. Anyway, night falls on a Republican victory, on a farmer victory. The King's men were victorious in this case. The counter-revolution is going to eat better this winter than they did historically, because they were able to take the bread right out of the mouths of the Parisians, which, come to think of it, was kind of the Parisians' beef to begin with. Anyway, that's enough history. That's enough wargaming for today. Go spend some time with your families, guys. I'm praying for you.